Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition beyond, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, you do have a voice, you have a community, and you're never, ever alone. Here at Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough sometimes. We get it, okay? Believe me, I get it. If anybody that's just been watching for a minute knows my story, I get it. Life can be crazy sometimes. The thing is, we also know that there's always hope. And so that's where we like to live. That's where we like to hang out here, is in the world of hope, because hope is a beautiful thing. And we like to cling to that. So that's what we do. That's where we hang out, is in hope. So, I want to talk about a couple of things first, before we bring on our guest. And the two things, so first is our nonprofit arm of the show, which is called Hydro with Hope. And Hydro with Hope, hydro is short for hydrocephalus. And that is a condition that I was born with, that I was diagnosed with. I was diagnosed with hydrocephalus at 2 weeks old, which is when I had my first brain surgery. And I've had 7 so far. I'm gonna just call it 7. I think that's a nice round number. We're done with 7. I've had about 15 surgeries overall, but 7 brain surgeries. And that is believe it or not, that's very common with people with hydrocephalus. And so it can be a really interesting condition to live life with. And so our nonprofit Hydro with Hope helps people by offering resources. One of them is a journal that walks people through that experience of, holy smokes, I got to have what kind of surgery again? It's a really nicely laid out journal that walks people through that. And then they can take it to the doctor and have all the answers with them when they start peppering you with questions at the follow-up. And then also we like to speak around the country and around the world and just spread hope, and offer other resources to people with the condition. And by the way, the short story that I just made longer is that we are expanding our board at Hydro with Hope, and we are hoping to expand that with working board members so that we can fundraise more, because we have more to do than we have funds to do it. And so we need you. And so if that is you and that sounds interesting, please send me an email at this email right there. Shoot me an email at InvisibleCondition@e360tv.com and say, I want to help. And we'll have a call and talk about it. Also, if you are somebody that owns a business or an organization that maybe you've been watching it for a couple of years now, or maybe you've been watching just this your first or second episode, and you go, you know what? I love what you're doing there, and I want to advertise. Bring it. Let's have a conversation. Shoot me an email at that email address, and let's talk about what that would look like. We have some really cool sponsors and advertisers right now, and I'm always open to developing more relationships in that world. So, all right, now let's talk. Let's get to that. That's all that stuff. We're gonna get to the good stuff here. Okay, so our guest today is Brooke King, and Brooke is the mastermind behind Brooke's Joyrides, which, I mean, come on, that sounds fun, right? It's an adventure seeker. She is an adventure seeker and cancer survivor on a mission to find joy in every challenge. Shouldn't that be all our goal, honestly? I mean, come on, challenges are going to hit anyway. You may as well find joy in them. From hitchhiking on the world's deadliest train to cowboy mounted shooting in the Wild West, and now rowing across the Mediterranean in her Rowing to Remission journey. Brooke's story is all about resilience, bold bucket list quests, and living life to the fullest. Shouldn't we all be doing that? I love this. This is awesome. Let's welcome her to the show and kick this party off properly here. Brooke, thank you so much for being here. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is cool, man. I know we had a conversation, but before the show, but that was a while ago when we were talking about, okay, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? but I forgot about some of that stuff, man. You're crazy. This is awesome. I love it. This you're no joke. I'm gonna put this up here, and oh, by the way, first I'm gonna put this up there and say thank you for watching. And by the way, if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube and you hear anything that Brooke says, or if I say, or if she, something comes up in the conversation and you go, "Ooh, I got to ask a question," comment in Facebook or YouTube, or go to this QR code right here, and you'll be able to reach Brooke. Brooke, tell everybody what they're going to find at that QR code, where they can, how they can reach you.
Yes. So it's pretty much exactly what you just described. All of the adventures, from me hitchhiking onto the world's deadliest train in the middle of the Sahara Desert, to the cowboy mounted shooting, and everything in between: weird, quirky, silly, scary, adventuresome, and then also my cancer journey. I had been doing all of these hobbies throughout that experience, or rather about 3 years prior to my diagnosis.
Nice.
And now I've just really realized I have no time to waste, and I really want to share my experiences with the world. And so that's exactly what they would find there, is a way to really join me on some of those journeys. And then also for other folks, like really what you're putting out into the world is, how do you find joy and continue living your life after you've been through something difficult? And sharing my experience with that, and really what having cancer has been like for me.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, so there you go, everybody. Scan the QR code. You have no excuse now. You know what you're getting into. Go ahead and scan it and have fun. So I like to ask a question at the beginning of the show of everybody. It's the same question every time, but I get different answers, and I love every one of them. So in the midst of being, after the diagnosis, like when you're at your worst, you're at the low point, you're like, seriously, this is where we're at. At those lowest times, how do you still maintain hope?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot before our chat today, and I think there's probably two main things. One of them might seem controversial, but I think learning all of the worst case scenarios and outcomes honestly makes me feel hopeful, because it gives me the opportunity to say, what is one thing that I can do today?
Nice.
Because I think even when, for instance, when I was going through my recovery, I couldn't really move and I couldn't really speak, because so much of the thyroid cancer that I had impacts your vocal cords. And it was a really extensive surgery that I had. So I said, okay, I can't do anything, but maybe I could do a puzzle. My friend got me a coloring book. I listed out all the things that I could do, knowing what I couldn't, or knowing these are all of the worst case scenarios. And that, to me, feels very empowering, because it gives you an avenue to say, what can I do that is fun? What can I do that is joyful? Without feeling overwhelmed by that. Like, even before my surgery, one of the things that I'm passionate about in my life is my clothing and how I feel when I'm dressed nicely or dressed very expressively. And I decided, like, I'm not going to have a bad time going to the hospital and be scared when I'm going into surgery. I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to buy myself a fun outfit, and I'm going to have my surgery outfit. I did. I showed up to the hospital. I was like, it was still comfortable, like sweats, but they make really fun, cute stuff now. So it's little things like that, is just always remind yourself, what is one thing that you can do that can make you smile, even when something really terrible is going down. I guarantee you can find one thing.
Yeah, you are so right. I love that answer. That's so good. I've always been kind of that eternal optimist, glasses half full guy, that like, no matter what, like people will complain and I'll be like, yeah, but what about this? This is going right. I'm like, I don't listen. I don't like listening to that. I'm like, you can complain for like 10 seconds and then you better give me some good stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's kind of like what we talked about before, of this sense of survivor's guilt, right? In your intro, talking about your experience with hydrocephalus, you've had over 15 surgeries, 7 of which were brain surgeries, and you're still like, that's the good one, right? Like, I know you mentioned like hundreds of surgeries that people will have with your similar condition.
Oh yeah.
And I feel very similarly. Like, I've been so fortunate with the life that I've had, and even the cancer diagnosis I've had. I have one of the worst versions of the cancer I have but as it relates to other cancers, it's like one of the best.
Yeah.
And I can't help myself but feel just grateful, or having that like survivor's guilt of like, oh, I can't be upset about this. Like I'm doing better than most people. And I think it's a learned positivity too, right? Like there's certainly days I'm sure you've had where you're mad, not only at your experience, but maybe even at yourself. Like I would have those days where I'd be mad at myself and my own like self-talk. And it's just continuing. That's part of what goes back to prepare yourself for all the worst case scenarios. Find the one thing that you can do that's positive, because positivity it's not something that's innate. It's like learned. I think it's a twofold situation.
Totally. And really, honestly, the one thing I've learned with my years on this planet, especially over the last 10 to 12, when we've had some of the craziest times with this crazy condition, is your attitude's really the only thing you have 100% control over. So don't be a jerk. Nobody wants to deal with the jerk in the hospital. In fact, my dad totally called me out on that in 2014 when I was in there for 2 back-to-back brain surgeries and had to be in there for like 3 weeks. And for me, was the longest stint in the hospital I've ever had. That pales in comparison to anything you've gone through, but 3 weeks for me was a lot. But he literally called me out. He's like, dude, just cool it. They're here to help you. They have no choice. They have to be here. They get paid to be here. So suck it up, you know?
Isn't it funny when that happens? Like I had this one day I'll never forget when I was going through my treatments, and I had, after my condition, I had probably about like an 8-hour surgery, where most people with my condition probably have like 2 or 3 hours, because they had to remove, and you can't even see it now, like InvisibleCondition for sure. Like I have my big scar here and you can barely see it any longer. My surgeons were like,
well, tell everybody what the condition is, because we haven't even talked about that for a second.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we talking about today anyway?
Yes. So back in November of 2024, I was told at just a regular gynecologist appointment that I had a suspicious lump right above my collarbone. And they really told me very casually that I had it. There was no indication that I had cancer. And they said, don't worry, it's probably benign. And that was probably the most frustrating part of my experience, was really getting to a place where I knew that cancer was even in the picture. Yeah. So fast forward from there, I went through all these jumps, like just so many loops and jumps and hoops for finding out that I could even get a scan. And then I was diagnosed with papillary thyroid cancer once I was able to get an ultrasound on my thyroid and on my neck. Yeah. And I have what's called Bethesda level 6, because my cancer is not measured in stages like a lot of other cancers. It's a very isolated experience, where that's where I think a lot of the survivor's guilt comes from, of the good cancer. And really, once I got that diagnosis for level 1 to level 6, I saw that I had level 6, which means that I had metastatic cancer that had spread from my thyroid up my entire neck. So post-surgery, I found out I had about 51 lymph nodes, which are the nodes that you have in your neck, removed, and then my entire thyroid removed. And it's so crazy because it was completely asymptomatic. I had no idea anything was going on. And I even posted it, like if people go to that link, you can see on my Instagram, I posted photos of myself before, because I probably had this cancer for about 1 year to 2 years. Wow. You can see the lumps on my neck. And that's when I really knew it was a problem, because I could feel the one down here. Yeah. And that's why the doctors alerted it, because that's unusual for you to have a lump there. Sure. But it's not unusual for you to have lumps, like I'm sure.
Yeah, like swollen glands, or like sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Strep throat, allergies, whatever. Right. But I could feel that I wasn't sick. And I had about a 6-week period from being told I had this lump on my neck to then feeling these other ones. All these other places that were very firm and hard. And that was one of the only things I think that triggered me to say, I need to take this seriously. Because had I not, I honestly don't, I think there's a lot of people that might go through this experience, be told there's a lump, be healthy, and then just say, okay, I'm just going to ignore this.
Well, and you were only 29 when you got this news, right? Like talking about speaking of, ignoring it, like most, like 20, come on, give me a break. There's no way I have anything really wrong with me. I'm 29 freaking years old. There's no way. So
1,000%. And
it
I
would be
don't go
totally
out.
easy
I'm
to
not
just,
like,
yeah.
I'm not at the bars hanging out on the weekends. I'm like on runs. I'm like a very active, healthy person. So honestly, a lot of the doctors were not taking it seriously. Even the doctor that now is my main guy, he's amazing. He's my specialist. He's called an endocrinologist.
Yep.
And they focus on stuff like anything that impacts the thyroid, which would be anything from my cancer to, say, for instance, diabetes. And he felt the lump there and he's like, it probably is nothing. And then I got the ultrasound, and that's when everyone got really serious because they had seen the report. And it's very unusual that, so what happens when you get an ultrasound, you then get those images sent to a radiologist.
Yep.
So it's someone you never personally meet. It's just a nurse that shares those images. And then that guy, he writes a report on what everything looks like. And that then gets sent to your other doctors. And I'm sure you've had this experience, right? You have to like
the telephone game,
There's all these gatekeeper doctors. There's like 6 doctors you have to see before you get the doctor you need.
Right. It's like they won't tell you. They'll just whisper it to each other until it gets to the right.
Exactly.
It's like that telephone game when you were a kid, and you're just hoping it ends up in the right,
Exactly. Like, but when I was told I had the lump, my gynecologist is the one who told me, and this cancer impacts women 3 times more than it impacts men.
Wow.
And my gynecologist, the one who found it, couldn't write me a prescription for the ultrasound I needed. So that's when I had to start that game of telephone. And I was just like so in shock, knowing that one, like gynecologists are one of the number 1 doctors that find this condition. And then she couldn't write my prescription. And then I had to go through this. That was part of the crazy system of just figuring out who can even conduct this non-invasive. I'm like, it's not an invasive procedure. I'm not going to be injured for you to rub the little ultrasound on my neck. Like, I don't understand.
Seriously.
And in hindsight now, I know like they need to be a specialist to identify what they're looking for. But gynecologists are like the main ultrasound people. So you're like, I don't.
Crazy. No, that makes sense though.
Weird.
I mean, they're always, it's usually like, oh, look at your baby. When you say ultrasound, that's the first thing most people think of is pregnancy and all the things. Yeah. So that's not surprising. But,
so now I know all the different the additional use cases that tool has. But I went from there, and then I was diagnosed with the papillary thyroid cancer, and they saw that it had spread up in my neck. And I had in total 23 tumors, and most folks have about like 2 to 3 tumors. So that's where I had a lot of that extensive recovery experience. And when you were talking, this is my roundabout way of addressing what you're saying of being in that hospital and feeling angry. I had this moment where I was so angry because I had these tubes hanging out of me for like a month and a half.
Yep.
You can't really totally see them, but I have 2 scars here from just these like fluid tubes that they needed to monitor my surgical site. And because I had such an extensive surgery and it was so much longer than other folks, most people get those tubes out like a week after their surgery. Yeah. I had them for much longer. And I just remember walking through the hospital, just wanting to be angry that day. I'm like, I'm so angry about this situation. And I just saw every possible thing that just told me like, you've got it good. You're doing well. Like, there was just a sweet little kid walking around, like probably maybe 7 years old with an eye patch on, and the Cancer Institute with their family walked by me. A gentleman got on the elevator with me, and like sweet elderly man telling me like, I hope you're having a good day. Some girl, another young girl, like a 3-year-old with her family, went and rung the Remission bell. I didn't even know the Remission bell existed that day. All I wanted was to be angry. And I'm like, gosh, darn. I can't be angry today.
Dang it. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, seriously, everybody gets that experience every once in a while. Whether you're in this situation or not, everybody has days they just want to be pissed off, That's just how it works. But on those days, those people do present themselves pretty strategically, don't they? I don't think anything's an accident, by the way. So
Agreed.
that was pretty cool. That's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you what, man, we are in a good spot for a break, but I do have a couple things that I wanted to throw out there. We'll talk about it on this other side of the break, but what you're talking about is so relevant, because I can relate to so much of it, because I keep thinking to myself, why can't this medicine game be more inclusive of not inclusive, I hate that word, what's the word, comprehensive, like why?
Yeah.
Like traditional, like Western medicine is like, if you have a problem with your foot, you go to the foot doc. If you have a problem with your nose, you go to the nose doc. If you have alternative medicine and like functional medicine is like, what's going on with your body, and why is that not more part of it with Western medicine? Why don't they consider like other parts of your body that might be contributing to what's going on? So I don't know. We can talk about that on the other side of the break and other things.
Yeah.
For you, everybody stick around. Do not go anywhere. And there's more to come. There's a great story. There's more to it. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor, Dunamis Marriages. And now, struggling marriages often lead to a dramatic sense of disconnection from your spouse that can seem suffocating. Even if your marriage is doing pretty well, there is a way for you to thrive no matter what. Dunamis Marriages believes that God designed marriage to be a lifelong, heart-connected journey. And they're here to help you get there at Dunamis Marriages. Located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, their faith-based marriage intensive has an 83% success rate. I'm going to say that again. 83% success rate. Guiding couples through deep emotional healing and lasting transformation. Why is that important? Because most marriage counseling has a less than 10% success rate, leaving broken hearts and marriages in its wake. Led by Dr. Pauline Dillard, who brings over 42 years of marital wisdom, these marriage intensives are different. Typical marriage counseling is more of a once a week for an hour type of thing that can last for years and really end up getting you nowhere. The intensive model that Dr. Pauline uses brings couples together. Each session lasts about 2 to 3 hours and is conducted over 5 to 6 sessions. The time that you invest in a marriage intensive will combine biblical truth with proven psychological principles to restore communication, trust, and intimacy. At Dunamis Marriages, they don't just treat symptoms. They equip you with the tools to build a thriving, Christ-centered marriage. If you're ready to break free from frustration and rekindle your relationship God's way, act now. Visit DunamisMarriages.com today. That's DUNAMAS marriages.com. And take that first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Build your marriage on a solid foundation and enjoy your spouse like you never thought possible.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here, Brooke. This is awesome. I am just blown away at so far what we've been able to talk about. And if you guys missed the first segment, go back and watch it because it's good. We were talking about something in the first segment that I just wanted to I I couldn't help myself. I can so relate to what you were talking about, being in the hospital and wanting so badly to have a bad day. I just want to be pissed off. I just want to be angry. This sucks. I don't want to be here. Just let me be mad. And I just remember for 3 weeks straight, I had 2 brain surgeries back to back, and I was in there for 3 weeks. It was a bacterial infection they were trying to get rid of before it got to the brain and all the things. And once they kind of got things situated, I was just kind of in limbo for like 3 weeks, walking around, and everybody on the neuro floor, as you can imagine, are kind of laid up in their room, right? And I'm the only one, and I've got my my bag of IV fluids or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm doing laps around the whole wing, like I'm doing laps around the whole floor for like 3 weeks, just bored out of my mind. And it kind of took my dad smacking me around and going, dude, you need to suck it up, because it could be a lot worse. And these people are here to help you, and you need to be nice. And so I don't know. I can so relate to that, though. You, like I said, your hospital stay is mine probably pale in comparison to what
I
you
don't
had
know.
before,
I mean, I wasn't in the hospital for like a terribly long time. I have to go to the hospital pretty frequently.
Yeah.
But I think, it's just natural to want to be. And I think it's important as well, part of to feel angry and feel sad. I think that we live in a society now where it feels burdensome or problematic to have those down moments. And I think maybe it's medicating yourself for that experience. That was actually an interesting experience I had with the doctor, where I was just calling for a consult, and they said, hey, like, if you just need someone if you're not feeling good or having trouble sleeping, like, give me a call. And I know that there's a lot of different conditions where you need that, but I also think there's sometimes too much of an emphasis on you're not feeling happy. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this situation's not very happy. Like, it's okay to be a little angry right now.
Who says you're supposed to feel happy all the time? Seriously.
Yeah.
Come on.
And that's how you're able to feel, I think, euphoria in those happy moments. And that's part of, I think, why I felt it was so necessary to do my road to remission. I had this big bucket list before I was sick, and I didn't want being sick to stop me from experiencing that. And I've had these moments through my training as well, because I'm about to physically row. It's about a 3-day long row manually from Barcelona to Ibiza in the Mediterranean Sea. And it's all for a cancer foundation. So I was like, oh my God, I've been on the wait list for this for about 3 years. It's been a part of my interest before all of this happened. Now it means so much more to me because it is for cancer, and I can pledge myself as well to my own cancer foundation. But even in my training, there's been moments where I just wanted to be upset. Like, I'll never forget, I was doing exercise. I have one of those like machines on my wall where the people speak to you, kind of like on a Peloton, where they have those fun interactive speakers.
Nice.
And during one of the exercises, I've been having symptoms from not having my thyroid, where my heart rate's a little bit higher. I just atrophied completely from so much of the like intense like dieting and recovery that I had, because I had to be on really strict diets post-surgery. And so I was really just not feeling good while I was exercising. And the lady who was running the program was like, be grateful for your body. Like, your body is amazing. And I'm like, it's not, like, I'm not happy with my body.
Shut up.
And I just lay there and I started crying. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm just trying to work out, lady. Like, give me a minute.
Stop talking to me. Yeah.
Yeah. But I genuinely also feel like some of those moments of like sadness and being upset has given me an outlet to like giggle and laugh now about it. I truly look back at it, and I do think it is hilarious. And that's part of having levity in these experiences, comes from like sitting in the sadness, I think.
Yeah. No, because it's such a contrast, and it makes you realize how awesome it is when you're not in the dumps, you know. It gives you that contrast to really. So it's cool. Yeah.
I feel like being diagnosed with cancer at such a young age and being 29, it almost, at first when I got diagnosed, I felt like cancer had taken this sense of youthful invincibility that I feel. And I think me compared to the average person, I feel that a little more strongly. Like I'm out here running around in the Sahara Desert and doing things. Like I truly feel invincible. And I think part of what you were talking about is your life is now in other people's hands. There's only so much control. Like you can control your attitude, but now I can't control my own health. Like I'm reliant on all of these other people to be where I am and to be here today. And so at first I had this anger towards, oh, I no longer am invincible. But I would actually say back in retrospect that I'm healing and I'm doing better. I feel like I have this insight into each aspect of my life, from like my relationships and what are important to me there. Like I can look now at my partnerships and say, if I want to have children with this person, I need to know that like my kids are going to be fine if I'm gone. Like those are things that I'm blessed to have a perspective on that a lot of people my age never will. Like it's harder to understand unless you've like gone through something like life-threatening. And so it's given me this sense of purpose, this new lens to look at the world. And it almost now makes me feel maybe more invincible because I'm like, okay, I've gone through the scariest that I could have, and I came out the other side. Like, what else do I have to be afraid of at this point? You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, and one of the things I don't want to switch subjects for just go a little different direction here, but I for some reason I was just remembering you're talking about like your unconventional, let's call it unconventional wellness practices, shall we say? And I know one of the things that is controversial in like several states is like raw milk, right? Like something as silly as raw milk, like that stuff. Like, by the way, that stuff is delicious. It's like a milkshake straight out of the, but it's, I don't understand why it's such a big deal, but how has that kind of unconventional practices and stuff strengthened you, like mentally, physically, all the things? Is it, it's awesome.
I think that for my cancer treatment specifically, I have always lived beforehand in this unconventional lifestyle saying, this is not the only way to live. I think we all felt a piece of that when COVID happened, where everyone redesigned the way that they walk through the world and how you're going and getting groceries. What does your work life look like? Can it be at home? And it gave us all a sense of reimagining that there are different options. And that was a big catalyst for me of saying, okay, I can go do this. And so I took that moment in my life about 3 or 4 years ago. And I had originally owned a home in Chicago where I'm from. I sold it and I decided I want to live on the road and explore all of these different ideas that I have for maybe going out and doing more outdoor activities. I really love being in nature and hiking and fishing and being with animals. And I wasn't getting that in the city. And I decided, okay, now I work remote. What's holding me back? And I think I actually went down this whole plan. I was going to live and build a tiny home full time. Oh, cool. And that's part of the start of me getting the courage to live an unconventional lifestyle, is exploring that avenue. And I think even in that process, a lot of people told me, if you want to build the type of rig that you'd like, something that is mobile, that you can move throughout the country, you're going to have to spend XYZ. You're going to have to do these particular things. And I've just always been someone to say, like, I think there's an alternative and try and make it fit my lifestyle. And so I think trying some of the things that I have, like hitchhiking on the world's deadliest train in Africa, everyone told me super unsafe, don't do it, not worth your time. And there was something in me that said, like, this is important to me. And it was a part of me speaking to my cancer journey and saying, hey, it's going to take you 8 to 9 months to even consider getting a surgery and a treatment, even though we're pretty positive that you have cancer. And then needing to go through all those extra steps, right? Of like, yeah, we can see you have cancer, but you need a biopsy first. You need a consult for that biopsy. You need to do a consult to meet the surgeon. Once you get that done, like all of these things. And I was able to look at that situation and say, I don't accept that answer. Right. And I went on medical leave immediately and was able to kind of treat the medical system like a sales job of just getting on the phone and trying to convince doctors to meet with me. Yeah. And that even goes along with some of the, like you talking about the connectedness of doctors and how they're so disjointed in a lot of our systems, which I see a pro to and a con to, because we want our doctors to be as specialized as possible, especially like for you, right? Like you got to be a brain surgeon, right? Like,
I don't want a GP doing brain surgery on me. No, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. So I very much respect and understand that sector of it, but I was able to, for instance, step on the phone and they're like, well, you can't get this consult. It'll be like 2 or 3 months before you can get the consult to even get the biopsy. And I said, okay, why don't we do a virtual appointment? I know you've been offering those since COVID. Let's change that. So I think all of the unconventional living that I was doing was very much associated with don't take no for an answer. Try things that make you happy and try things that scare you. And so I think I had the wherewithal to be afraid of something and still know how to pick myself up and create momentum in my life.
That's awesome. Well, and part of it, you know what, I don't know, maybe you just hadn't gotten to the point, you know, some people just get to a certain point where they go, okay, this is what life is. And this is what, you know, you at 29, man, you were still open to just exploring whatever and whatever we need to do, we're going to do. And you weren't afraid to try something different. And you weren't afraid to ask questions and weren't afraid to, I mean, I had to do that. You know, after one of my back-to-back 2 brain surgeries in 2014 and had nonstop migraines for a year after that. So getting rid of those was kind of like that. I was trying everything and on the phone all the time. And like, what is this? And what's that? And you know, you are the perfect example of that there's no fear, you know. I don't know if it's because you're so young or if it's just your attitude in general, but there's like no fear. It's like, we're just going to try this.
Yeah. I think it's partially how I was raised. I definitely get a lot of my thrill seeking and like a little bit of tunnel vision of I'm going to do this from my dad. A bit.
Nice.
And I think I definitely was still afraid, but I think fear is something that wakes me up. And I've just done enough things that have scared me in my life that I'm like, there's no way out but through. And it's beautiful. It can apply to both things that are not fun and things that are fun. Like one of the things I love to share with people about maybe why am I doing some of the things I'm doing? Like, why am I doing the road to remission? Because I wanted to do it before I had cancer. So it's not 100% just the fact that it's giving back to folks like myself that have gone through treatments and need support. But I really love physical challenges. And people are like, that sounds no fun at all. You're going to be rowing for 72 hours straight. Like, tell me the good parts. And I like to share with them about the different types of fun. Have you heard of like type 1, type 2, type 3 fun? Have you heard of this?
No.
I'm surprised after we were talking all about snowboarding and being a Colorado resident. There's a lot of type 2 fun people out there.
But you know what? Let's save that for the last segment. We're going to go to a break real quick. See what I did, everybody? Now you have to stick around. Okay. All right. We're going to go to one more break and make a couple more sponsors happy. And then we'll be back and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's Cause of Choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
Hey friends, this is Ben Hummel. I'm the host of the Genius Way Show, where you'll learn to access your inner gifts, talents, and callings, and how to express them out in the world. Join me here each Sunday at noon Pacific time on the Achieve TV network, right here on E360 TV.
All right, we're back. And I totally cut you off at the end of the last segment because I was like, no, we're going to save that. Okay, go.
Yeah, I think part of what drives me and I'm drawn to is what's called type 2 fun. And there's these differences, right? So there's type 1 fun.
Okay.
Type 1 is, for example, you do something that is super easy to do and very fun in the moment. So it could be like going to the beach and getting a suntan. You know it's going to be fun. It's fun while you're doing it. It's fun afterwards. You're happy you did it. The type 2 fun is something where you're not really having a good time, but after the activity, you're like, that was awesome. So an example would be like a marathon.
Okay.
You're running a marathon. Part of it's fun. Part of it's brutal. And then you come out the other side and you're stoked about it. And then there's type 3 fun, which I haven't found a great example of it yet. I'm still in the between like the type 2 and type 3 fun space. Type 3 fun is like where it's not fun in the moment. It's not fun in retrospect, but it's a great story. So like maybe you went on a hike and you had like a bear encounter and someone got in it with the bear or something. That would be an example of type 3. Gotcha. So I think a lot of what we were talking about of one of the reasons I feel so confident in tackling difficult things in my life is because I'm very attracted to type 2 fun. I love doing things that are just brutal and looking back at them and just being like, oh gosh, even right at the end, you have this euphoria of, I can't believe I accomplished that. And that's a lot of the core component that I'm looking for in the activities that I try. There's still a lot of type 1 fun, like the cowboy mounted shooting I did.
Oh, sure.
All type 1.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, okay. So we both snowboard. We both love to snowboard. You picked it up recently. I've been doing it for way too long. What is that? Is that type 1 or type 2?
I personally would consider type 1 fun.
Okay.
Maybe type 1.5 if you're new and you're trying it. Okay. I would consider maybe like a type 2 version of that fun would be, have you heard of ski joring?
No.
So that's on my bucket list as well. I will be doing that shortly come next snow
Okay.
season.
What's that?
It's where you're getting kind of like wakeboarding, where you're holding a rope behind a boat and then you get pulled on skis. They have a version of that, and it's where you're getting pulled by a horse. They have a rope tied to the back of a horse, and the horse is pulling you either on skis or snowboard. The snowboard's way harder. So that is like type 2 fun, I feel, or maybe type 1.5, depending on who you ask.
Definitely be type 2 fun, I think. Yeah. Being pulled by a horse. I don't know. It's
mostly fun the whole time. So that's why I'm saying it might not be. There are definitely grueling moments. And I think that's part of where you got to find things. And part of what I want to share with folks is how do you get to a place of what do you classify as type 2 fun? Because I think for some people, even getting out there and maybe like going to the movies or dinner alone, that's like could feel like a type 2 fun. You're like, I'm afraid of this. I don't think I'm going to have a good time. And then you realize, oh, this was a lot less intimidating than I felt that it was.
Yeah.
And that's been a part of my journey and my experience is I had put together this big bucket list of stuff I wanted to do, realized that I was seeking an unconventional life and trying to figure out how to get there really by myself at first. Because I think as a woman trying something alone can either feel like dangerous or in general as a person, it can just be maybe feel a little scary, a little embarrassing.
Yeah, sure.
And so I think part of what I'm trying to share with the world and where I'm trying to seek joy is putting together a list of things where my nervousness or fear for that activity is superseded by my interest and my curiosity for that experience. And that's where I've been able to build my confidence. Like I didn't just go to the middle of Africa and decide to hitchhike on a train or just decide to live on a bus one day. Like there were gradual steps that got me there. And that's part of how I've now ended up in a place where I'm post-treatment. I'm able to like get out into the Mediterranean Sea, feel confident that even though I'm dealing with a lot of my symptoms post-treatment, I know that I can handle the physical challenge that's before me.
That's awesome. I am while we've been doing this, the whole episode, I've been writing people's names down that I need to introduce you to, because can't wait. It's awesome. That's how it works. I don't know why, but my brain just kicks into that gear when I'm listening to people's stories. It's like, oh my gosh, you got to meet this person. So we're going to be chatting after we're done here. We're going to be definitely talking about that. But God, I love that though. I'm still kind of stuck on the type 1, type 2, type 3 fun, because why would anybody ever do type 3 fun? I was
thinking about that a lot. I haven't found any that I feel particularly attracted to yet. I've jokingly been told that maybe having kids is type 3 fun because like it's just so hardcore, but it's always worth it. So I'm like, maybe that's type 2. When I've told people that was the response I got, but I don't know. I've yet to find. If there's anyone that can find it, I do feel like it would be me.
Oh, you will find it for sure.
I'm here for the story. Like if it's, I could be miserable the whole time. I'm still going to have a good time. Honestly, I'll come out of it and be like, hell yeah. Maybe it's our stories. Maybe it's cancer and our illnesses. Maybe that's type 3 fun.
Maybe that's what it is. Seriously. Well, and yeah, we get through, you've gotten through what you've gotten through. I've gotten through what I've gotten through so far. And, maybe that's type 3 fun. Maybe that's what it is.
Because I wouldn't change it. Truly. No. Like it sucks. Right? I'm not like, oh yeah, so glad that this happened.
Right.
But I'm grateful for everything I'm coming out from it with. So maybe that is what it is. Now that I'm speaking about it out loud.
Said it out loud. Now you think it's okay. You know what? I think you might be right. Yeah. It's living with an invisible condition is type 3 fun. There you go.
Because also, like you're talking, maybe there's people that you can connect me with that I would love to meet. Like right? I've met so many amazing people by sharing my story. And I think feeling confident sharing is something I would highly recommend to anyone going through not even an invisible condition, even just feeling like a sense of fear for something you've been told by a doctor. Being able to share that and feel not embarrassed or burdensome is so critical. Like truly, if I had been early in my medical experience as much of a hypochondriac as I felt like I was, I was like, there's no way I'm sick. And I called a bunch of people and they're like, you're being super dramatic, relax. And I could just feel in my gut something was wrong. And part of my experience with being not only sick, but sharing is like, wow, I can't even believe the love that I've been met with. Like the amount of people who've gone through so much similar, like I'm sure that's been your experience, not only hosting the show, but just in general in your life, when you share with someone that you've been through an illness, everyone immediately shares like, this is what I've been through. This is what my family's been through. Like, it's just like rampant. And you just realize like that's part of what brings hope is by not being afraid to share, because so many people will share similar experiences. Like it's been really lovely to see the reaction I've gotten so far.
Totally. Yes, that is 100% true. And you're absolutely right. Over the last 2+ years doing this show, that is exactly what it is. Because everybody's so forthcoming with all I hear so much stuff. Some of the stuff I'm like, wow, you just said that on the air. Okay, cool. Great. Yeah. But it's amazing what people will share, given the right opportunity. So it's pretty cool. Speaking of that, we have about a minute, maybe two left, about a minute left. What would you like to leave our audience with in the last minute?
I think just walking through the world, try something that makes you nervous, but you're really excited about. It will bring you joy. I truly believe that if you are looking for it, you can find it. And that's a huge part of what I want to share with folks is giving them a space where they can feel confident doing it, whether it's sharing something scary, like their own medical experience, asking me questions about that, or finding ways to just live their life more intentionally. That's one of the reasons I want to share my not only cancer journey, but my journey as a bucket list slayer, if you will, is what I've been told. That's what I should call myself. And so I really would love to encourage people to get back in touch with me. That's where a lot of this will come from. If they come and follow me on Instagram, on YouTube, I'll be sharing these things. And I genuinely want to hear back from people and include them in it. And then anyone that's interested, the row that I'm doing, the Road to Remission, is coming up in July of 2025, and it is a cancer foundation. So anyone who is interested in donating and helping folks for a lot of the stuff like that you guys do with Hydro is just saying, how can we educate you? How can we better prepare you to be an involved patient? That's a huge part of where most of these cancer funds go. And then including as well a separate pledge I've done for my papillary thyroid cancer. So I would really love and appreciate anyone who would donate anything to that GoFundMe or share, so I can give back to those who've been through what I've been through.
And that's all in the QR code.
All in the QR code. You could go find my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my TikTok, and my GoFundMe.
Beautiful. All right. It's like you're organized or something. I love it. That's beautiful. That's awesome. That's the way to do it, man. One-stop shop. Man. Okay, Brooke. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a blast. And I'm so glad that we got to do this and get your story out. What a story, man. It's just getting started. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Hopefully maybe we'll come back and we'll do a recap post row.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. That'd be amazing. So
that'd be super
awesome.
Fun.
Thank you, Brooke. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Oh my gosh, that was cool. Okay. Yeah. I feel like we should have had 2 hours for that one. Man, she's got to come. She has to come back. Watch for her on a future episode. All right, everybody, we are out of time. Thank you so much for being here, though. If you have been with us since the beginning, thank you. If you're new, thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, share all the things, and join us for our next episode, Friday, June 27th. And we'll see you then.